How's it going, everyone? My name is George, and today we are going to be somewhat concluding the Universe review series. And I say somewhat because I hope to one day get to Dogma and review that film. But until then, this is kind of the conclusion until Clerks 3 comes around and I get to see Clerks 3. But anyways, we will be reviewing Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. This is the 2019 Universe film. This came out 13 years after Clerks 2 and 18 years after the first Jay and Silent Bob film. So basically, we thought Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was going to be the end of the universe. As you saw at the end, they kind of closed the book on it. But then we got Clerks 2 5 years later, and I thought Clerks 2 was a funny, fantastic sequel. And you would think that would also be the conclusion based on how that film kind of ended. But no, we go back to Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So essentially, with Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, Jay and Silent Bob, they lose their names because they're trying to reboot Bluntman and Chronic with Bluntman v Chronic. And so Jay and Silent Bob have to go back to Hollywood to reclaim their names and stop this movie from happening. And along the way, Jay finds out that he has a daughter who is played by Kevin Smith's real life daughter, Harley Quinn Smith. And kind of similar to the first Jay and Silent Bob film, Jay's daughter and her friends get Jay and Silent Bob on this adventure. Kind of similar to what her mother did, Justice, who was once again played by Shannon Elizabeth, did in the first Jay and Silent Bob film. So basically, with this film, obviously this takes place a long time after the events of the first Jay and Silent Bob film. It takes place over a decade after the events of Clerks 2. So yeah, these actors have definitely gotten older. They're no longer in their 20s and 30s. They're in their late 40s, early 50s. I mean, you look at Jason Lee, who is still playing Brody from Mallrats in this film, and yeah, he gives some funny lines in this film when explaining about a reboot, showing his love for the MCU. But it's like it looks like he's still in Dave Seville mode from those live-action Alvin and the Chipmunk movies. I mean, Jason Mewes as Jay, like, yeah, he looks like he's aged a little bit. He still looks pretty good for his age. Brian O'Halloran as Dante for the brief moments he's in. He's aged, but he still looks like Dante. But it's like you can tell that like these guys are no longer in their prime. They're still doing pretty good. But as far as in this universe goes, can they still play these characters in this universe? Like they're still very good actors and can still play other roles in other series. But as far as the Isk universe goes, do they still have anything left in the tank when playing these characters? I will say though, my favorite nod to the previous Isk universe films was probably the Chasing Amy stuff. When Jay and Silent Bob run into Holden, who Ben Affleck is still playing, and also Alyssa, who Joey Lauren Adams still plays. And Chasing Amy is one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. It's great to see Alyssa and Holden are friends again, and they're co-parenting a daughter. And Ben Affleck gives this really impactful, great speech, and I feel like it also kind of connects to him in his real life as well because around this time he was battling some issues that he was going through at the time. So I really like this scene, and it obviously gives a nod to Batman because we know he played Batman in the DCEU. Maybe he'll still play Batman, who knows at this point. But like the speech that he gives about being a father, I think it's very impactful. It's great to see, and also it's great to see that him and Smith are also friends again in real life because I've heard that for some years now they had some kind of beef or something. So it's great to see that they worked out their differences and are friends again. And I also like the connection, the type of bonding that Jay goes through with his daughter. And like you kind of see Jay going into a different kind of role of sorts because Jay has always been known as like the weed smoker that likes to sell the drugs and the weed. He's very immature, but in this film you kind of see him slowly accepting, trying to take on that dad role, and I think it's a very good character arc for him. It definitely adds more heart to the film. And also, like I like how, like in real life, Kevin Smith is getting to work with his daughter on this film as well. And it's just that kind of message about fathers in this film, and perhaps it's just the timing of me watching this film for the first time because this is the first time that I'm watching Jay and Silent Bob Reboot as well. Around this time of year, I'm approaching the death of my own father. my real life father. And watching this film around this time, it adds more heart for me. It means a lot more to me. So I really like the story arc that Jay goes through in this film, as well as the fact that like Kevin Smith got to work with his daughter in real life on this film. So maybe that just like that adds more for me in this film. The humor is still funny at times, but it also feels like the humor is starting to run its course. And also, it feels like this is the beginning of the Universe trying to putting limitations on their humor. In the previous films, including Clerks 2, which came out 13 years before this film came out, you saw them basically having no limitations. They were doing anything at this point. The jokes in Mallrats, they went over the top. They went beyond at times. Clerks 2, the scene with Kinky Kelly, like that, for some people, went very, very overboard. In this film, it felt like they were putting limitations, that they were kind of playing it safe at times, but there were also some things that, like, some people would still maybe find offensive in this film. I mean, Jay and Silent Bob at one point are taking on the KKK. The KKK kidnaps Jay's daughter and her friends, and they have to save the girls from the KKK. I mean, stuff like that, like would is that like a would some people would find offensive, maybe some people wouldn't. But again, some of the like over the top jokes that we knew from the other Skewniverse films, it feels like there's limitations there. I like that they're going more into some of the more modern day entertainment, making jokes about the MCU. The scene where Loki from Dogma returns, like they make that reference as well. You also have the Chris Hemsworth word reference. You got an Iron Man reference in there as well at the end. So I like that they're also playing into that, since the MCU is so key to our pop culture now. We know the Universe movies in the past always tapped into pop culture. And overall, with this film, like I said, I don't think this is a bad movie. I did enjoy this movie. It does have rewatchability, in my opinion. And again, because of like certain connections for me personally, I I find the heart of this film to be very strong, but at the same time, I feel like this is the weakest of the Universe movies. Although I like to see that Jay stepping in as a father. I like to see some of the characters from the previous films. I like that bit with the chasing Amy stuff. But yeah, this definitely was the weakest of the Universe movies. This film does have me a bit concerned about Clerks 3, even though the trailer for it looks great, because it feels like they're starting to slow down with the universe. Like the jokes, while they're funny at times, they also don't land at times. I still am not a big fan of that wink wink humor when they look at the screen and are like. But overall, I do find this film to be enjoyable, and I recommend you at least check it out once. And overall, I'm gonna give Jay and Silent Bob Reboot a B minus. I think it is worth a watch at least once, but I definitely think it's better than some of Kevin Smith's more recent work as well. Like some of his work outside the universe, I definitely prefer this over some of his other work. So, what are your thoughts on Jay and Silent Bob Reboot? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you think is the weakest film in the universe? Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that loves the universe movies, and I hope to see you guys real soon. I will be continuing my Harry Potter series of reviews later this week with Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And in the meantime, take care, everyone.